Good morning, students, friends. I welcome back to this new session. In the last session, I completed the study of adsorption under surface chemistry. Today, I will use the second topic, the catalysis under surface chemistry. So, in this, the catalysis. First of all, I will define the different types of, the catalysis or catalytic reactions. So, catalytic, you have to define catalyst, catalysis, positive catalysis, negative catalysis, homogeneous catalysis, heterogeneous catalysis, induced catalysis, autocatalysis, acid-base catalysis, different types of the catalytic reactions. I will take up one by one. First, I will tell you how the term catalyst was introduced into the chemical literature. A scientist by name called the Berzelius, he was preparing oxygen in the laboratory by heating strongly the potassium chloride. When potassium chloride is heated strongly, decomposes to give the oxygen. But accidentally, so this Berzelius put MnO2, manganese dioxide, into the mixture. He found that the reaction takes place very, very quickly and very, very fast. And he studied that reaction. At the end of the reaction, he has taken out that MnO2 and he studied, and MnO2 has remained unchanged both in the weight and the chemical composition. It was found to be only to accelerates or increases the the rate of a chemical reaction. That's why the term catalyst, he called MnO2 as a catalyst, and the term catalyst was introduced into the chemical literature. That's why a catalyst can be defined as a substance which increases the rate of a chemical reaction without undergoing any permanent chemical change is called a catalyst. But this is a old definition. But if you come to the modern way, the methodology, so these catalysts are also used to decrease the rate of a chemical reaction, or used to control the unwanted reaction. That means the catalysts are also used to decrease the rate of a chemical reaction. As per the modern definition, so a substance, the catalyst means a substance which alters the rate of a chemical reaction without undergoing any permanent chemical change. Means a substance which alters in the sense which may increases the rate of a chemical reaction or which may decreases the rate of a chemical reaction, but the catalyst does not undergo any permanent chemical change. He called that substance as catalyst, and that phenomenon is known as the catalysis. Therefore, a catalyst is a substance which alters the rate of a chemical reaction, which alters in the sense which may increases the rate of a chemical reaction or which may decrease the rate of a chemical reaction without undergoing any permanent chemical change is called as a catalyst. And this phenomenon of changing the rate of a chemical reaction by using a catalyst is called the catalysis. So, let us discuss the various types of catalysts one by one. I will take the types of catalysis. I will take positive catalyst. As I told you, so the substance catalyst may increase the rate of a chemical reaction or may decrease the rate of a chemical reaction. A substance which increases the rate of a chemical reaction is called as a positive catalyst. Any substance which found to increase the rate of a chemical reaction is called a positive catalyst. At present, I will look at these two examples. More number of examples will come across later. So, in the manufacture of the nitric acid by chamber process, nitric oxide is a catalyst. Reactants are sulfur dioxide and oxygen, nitric oxide catalyst. So, this nitric oxide found to increases the rate of a chemical reaction. Here in this reaction, nitric oxide is a positive catalyst. Or taking the manufacture of ammonia by Haber process, where nitrogen and hydrogen combined for ammonia in the presence of finely divided iron, and this iron acts as a positive catalyst. So, that's why any substance which increases the rate of a chemical reaction is called as a positive catalyst. Then what is a negative catalyst? Means a substance which decreases the rate of a chemical reaction is called as a negative catalyst, and that phenomenon is called the negative catalysis. A substance which decreases. If it increases, we call it as a positive catalyst. If it decreases, we call it as a negative catalyst. So, I will give some of the more example for a negative catalysis. So, take the hydrogen peroxide is not stable. So, when exposed to air, it decomposes into water and oxygen. A small amount of glycerol added acts as a negative catalyst and decreases the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. So, look at this. So, hydrogen and chlorine combine violently to form hydrogen chloride. To decrease this, the violent reaction, we are going to put nitrogen trichloride. So, NCl3, nitrogen trichloride, decreases the rate of the combination of H2 plus Cl2. Here, NCl3 acts as a negative catalyst. Some more example, you see this is the tetraethyl lead. Tetraethyl lead is used to reduce the anti-knock in the IC engines. In the IC engine, suppose you take a petrol is contaminated with kerosene oil. So there the unwanted combustion takes place, lot of heat is produced. We call it the knocking of IC engine. To reduce the knocking of IC engine, tetraethyl lead is used as a negative catalyst. In the oxidation of sulfur, so sodium sulfide to sodium sulfate, so alcohol, a small amount of alcohol acts as a negative catalyst, decreases the oxidation of sodium sulfide to sodium sulfate. Around the chloroform, is a well used anesthesia, so this chloroform is also not stable. It decomposes into carbonyl chloride. A small amount of alcohol is added, acts as a negative catalyst, so decreases the oxidation of the chloroform. And as you know, the atmosphere, the benzaldehyde, so these aldehydes are very easily undergoes oxidation to form the corresponding carboxylic acids. So benzaldehyde to benzoic acid, to prevent the air oxidation, the quinol is used as a negative catalyst. Some more example we come across later. A substance which decreases the rate of a chemical reaction is called as a negative catalyst. Now take homogeneous catalysis and heterogeneous catalysis. Look at the example. Homogeneous catalysis means the catalyst. If the catalyst and the reactants are in the same phase, I have taken reaction in the manufacture of the sulfuric acid by the chamber process, gaseous sulfur dioxide, so gaseous oxygen, gaseous nitric oxide. Here the catalyst and reactants are the same phase. It is called the homogeneous the catalysis. Take the example of the hydrolysis of cane sugar. Now, this is the cane aqueous solution of sucrose, dilute sulfuric acid as a catalyst. Here you can see sulfuric acid in the liquid phase and aqueous sugar is in the liquid phase. It is a homogeneous phase. But if the reactants and the catalyst are in the same phase, it is called the homogeneous catalysis. Some more the example will come at the later stage. Just to understand the concept, in the homogeneous catalysis, the catalyst and reactants are in the same phase. Then what may be your heterogeneous catalysis? Heterogeneous catalysis, we can say the catalyst and reactants are in different phases. Or you can say the catalyst is present in different phase than that of the reactants. So normally the heterogeneous catalysis, so the catalyst will be in the solid form. Your reactants may be the liquid form or gaseous form. Or the catalyst is in different phase than that of the reactant, is called the heterogeneous catalysis. Same in the manufacture of ammonia by Haber process. So nitrogen are the reactants. Gaseous hydrogen, solid iron is used as a catalyst. It's a heterogeneous catalysis. The catalyst is in different phase than that of the reactants. Or you can see the manufacture of sulfuric acid in the contact process. But sulfur dioxide gaseous, oxygen gaseous, but the platinum is a solid catalyst. Means the catalyst is in different phase than that of the reactant, is called the heterogeneous catalysis. So homogeneous catalysis, heterogeneous catalysis. So it's a very common question in your entrance examination. So reactions will be given to you, their physical state will be given to you. You have to choose which is homogeneous, which is the heterogeneous. If the catalyst and reactants are in the same phase, it is called the homogeneous catalysis. If the catalyst is in different phase than that of the reactant, it is called the heterogeneous catalysis. Two types of very common catalytic reactions occurring in various industrial applications. Then we take some more example you can take. Say the manufacture of the nitric acid by Ostwald process. Ammonia and oxygen are the reactants. Gaseous ammonia, undergoes oxidation in the presence of the platinum solid catalyst is a heterogeneous catalysis. In the hydrogenation of oil, hydrogen gases pass through oil. So the vegetable is in the liquid phase, hydrogen gaseous phase, and nickel in the solid phase. Means the catalyst and reactants are in different phases. So it is called as the heterogeneous catalysis. Or so mainly in the heterogeneous catalysis, so the catalyst will be in the solid phase, or reactant may be in the different phase. That's why the catalyst is in different phase than that of the reactant, is called the heterogeneous catalysis. Okay, my dear students. Okay, I will proceed further. I will take up the autocatalysis. Autocatalysis means one of the reactant produced during the reaction acts as a catalyst and catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction. Is called the autocatalysis. In the autocatalysis, we are not putting the catalyst externally. Only one of the product formed during the reaction, so catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction. It is called the autocatalysis. Very simple. I can give example is in the first year PUC. You recall your laboratory. You have done the titration in the volumetric analysis. Titration of oxalic acid against potassium permanganate. So you have taken the oxalic acid in the acidic medium is taken a conical flask. The potassium permanganate is taken in a burette. So you add potassium permanganate initially. You put one or two drops. Immediately you will get the pink color. You thought that endpoint has been reached. So you shake the conical flask, the pink color disappears. That means the reaction is slow in the beginning. To oxidation of oxalic acid, acidified potassium permanganate, the reaction is oxidation, so the potassium permanganate, so oxidation of oxalic acid into the carbon dioxide and water. This reaction is very slow in the beginning. When once you start the reaction, so this is the MnSO4 is produced during the reaction. Potassium permanganate reacts with the acid medium sulfuric acid. MnSO4 is formed during the reaction, and this MnSO4 produced or Mn2 plus ions produced during the reaction acts as a catalyst and catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction is called the autocatalysis. In the beginning, the reaction is very slow. You start the reaction, one of the product formed during the reaction, so catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction is called the autocatalysis. The best example is the volumetric titration you have done in first PUC. So titration of oxalic acid, so against the acidified potassium permanganate. So this reaction is very slow in the beginning. If you carry out the titration, the pink color discharges very slowly in the beginning. Reaction is very slow. When you start the reaction, then the pink color quickly disappears till you get the end point. That means when once the reaction has been initiated, so started, but MnSO4 produced during the reaction and acts as a catalyst and catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction is called the autocatalysis. I'll give some more example for the autocatalysis. So I take the hydrolysis of ester. So there the say ester undergoes methyl acetate undergoes hydrolysis to form the acetic acid. Here also in the beginning the reaction is very slow. When once acetic acid is formed, so it catalyzes the further part of the reaction. So here acetic acid acts as a the autocatalyst. Even in the oxidation of the copper from nitric acid, but here HNO2 produced during the reaction acts as a catalyst and catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction. I have taken this is the arsine decomposes into arsenic. Arsenic produced the catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction is called the autocatalysis. Look at the importance of autocatalysis. So we are not going to add any catalyst. Only one of the product formed during the reaction acts as a catalyst and catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction is called the autocatalysis. Now I take the positive catalyst, negative catalyst, homogeneous catalysis, heterogeneous catalysis and autocatalysis. One more, take the induced catalysis or induced catalyst. So induced catalyst means under some condition the reaction will not take place. We are going to put one reactant and that reactant induces the reaction is called the induced catalyst. So you can say briefly, so one of the reactant added acts as a catalyst. So this is called induced. I will give one or two simple example. Say I want this is the sodium arsenite is oxidized to sodium arsenate, ITE, this is ATE. So this reaction is not possible. So directly air cannot oxidize sodium arsenite into sodium arsenate. I will put small amount of sodium sulfide to the sodium arsenite, add sodium sulfide and pass air. So easily sodium sulfide undergoes oxidation to sodium sulfate and at the same time it initiates the oxidation of sodium arsenite to sodium arsenate is an example of induced chemical reaction. So actually this reaction is not feasible. By adding another reactant, it starts undergoing the oxidation, initiate an oxidation reaction and the sodium sulfide this is the induced catalyst and is called the induced catalysis. One more simple example I can give is I have taken the mercury chloride is reduced to mercurous chloride by oxalic acid. The oxalic acid is a reducing agent. So this oxalic acid reduces the mercury chloride to mercurous chloride. So this reaction is very slow. You put a small amount of the potassium permanganate. So this oxalic acid reduces the permanganate into MnSO4. Immediately, so so oxalic acid reduces the mercury chloride into mercurous chloride. So this potassium permanganate induces the reaction is called the induced catalysis. In short, some reactions are not possible. By putting one of the reactant, we can induce a catalytic reaction and such reactions and such catalysts are called the induced catalysis. One more, acid-base catalysis. So the reaction can be catalyzed by acids or by bases or by both acids and bases is called the acid-base catalysis. Some reactions are catalyzed by acid. Some reactions are catalyzed by bases. Some reactions are catalyzed by both acids and bases. This acid means what is an acid? Substance which contains H plus ion in aqueous solution is an acid. Which contains OH minus ions in aqueous solution is a base. Not only H plus and OH minus, and acid means even any branched acid. You know what is a branched acid? So branched acid is a proton donor, but branched base is a proton acceptor. So any reaction catalyzed by H plus ion or OH minus ion, acid or base, or any branched base is called the acid base catalysis. Some reactions are catalyzed by acids. Acid may be H plus ion, or it may be any branched acid, or base may be OH minus ion in aqueous solution, or any the branched base. So the reaction catalyzed by acid or base is called the acid base catalysis. Look at the example. I have taken the hydrolysis of ester. So here the H plus ion. So this is catalyzed by H plus ion. H plus ion catalyzes the hydrolysis of ester. The ester undergoes hydrolysis to form the corresponding carboxylic acid and alcohol. So this is the methyl acetate undergoes hydrolysis for acetic acid and ethanol, where this is the catalyzed by H plus ion. Or hydrolysis of the cane sugar. The cane sugar undergoes hydrolysis forming one molecule of glucose and one molecule of fructose. It is catalyzed by H plus ion. It is acid catalyzed reaction. Acid catalyzed reaction. A decomposition of nitramide. NH4NO2. So this may be catalyzed by H plus or acid or base into nitrous oxide. So this reaction can be catalyzed by both acid and base. Even the keto form of acetone. So acetone has got two isomery form, one keto form and enol form. So this can be catalyzed by H plus ion. These are all the example for the acid base catalysis. A reaction can be catalyzed by acid or catalyzed by base. If say acid base is not necessarily H plus ion, any branched acid can catalyze the reaction. So base is not necessarily OH minus ion, any branched base can catalyze the reaction. So such the catalytic reactions they are called the acid base catalysis. Now these are the various types of the catalysts we come across. I will repeat briefly again. I will go back. You can try to understand. I told the catalyst and catalysis, substance which increases or decreases or which alters the rate of a chemical reaction without undergoing any permanent chemical change is called as a catalyst, and this phenomenon is known as the catalysis. We come across different types of catalyst. Positive catalyst means which increases the rate of a chemical reaction is a positive catalyst. I give the number of examples. Which decreases the rate of a chemical reaction is called as a negative catalyst. I give the number of examples. So then the homogeneous catalysis. If the catalyst and the reactants, catalyst I have taken the other reactants. So catalyst and the reactants are in the same phase. It is called the homogeneous catalysis. If the catalyst and the reactants are in different phases, is called the heterogeneous catalysis. I told you autocatalysis means in this autocatalysis we are not going to add any catalyst. Only one of the product formed during the reaction acts as a catalyst and catalyzes the remaining part of the reaction is called the autocatalysis. I give the number of examples for the autocatalysis. Then induced catalysis means one of the reactant added that induces the the catalytic reaction is called the induced the catalysis. I given the few examples for induced catalysis. And the acid base catalysis. So any reaction catalyzed by acid or base. A reaction can be catalyzed by both acid and base is called the acid base catalysis. So in the catalyst chapter, you must know all these various types of catalysis. I explained with a few examples. So more example we are going to discuss in the later class to come. Okay friends, okay students, are you followed all the definitions of the catalysis? Okay, I will continue. Now we will take up what are the general characteristics of a catalyst. Say we discuss different types of the catalytic reaction. What are the important properties? We are using almost all industry we are going to use the catalyst. What are the important properties or what are the important characteristics of catalysis? Very common question appearing for 3 marks question in the examination. About 8 to 10 characteristics are there. I will give all the characteristics. You can write any 3 in the examination. I will take one by one. The first characteristic property is the catalyst remains unchanged both in weight and chemical composition. We are using a catalyst to accelerate a reaction or to decrease a reaction or for various other purpose. So what the catalyst this says the catalyst remains unchanged both in weight and chemical composition. But what may change? But physical form of the catalyst may change. I'll give a simple example. So in the decomposition of potassium chlorate is heated to prepare oxygen using the manganese dioxide. If we use the crystals of manganese dioxide At the end of the reaction, the crystal may be converted into powder form, but the catalyst remains unchanged both in weight and chemical composition. If we used 1 gram of MnO2 in the beginning, at the end of the reaction, same 1 gram was found to be in the reaction mixture. Suppose if you used MnO2 chemically, same MnO2 was found to be in the end of the reaction. Means catalyst remains unchanged both in weight and chemical composition. But probably during the course of a chemical reaction, physical form of the catalyst may change. If you use these crystals, it may be crumbles into powder form, but the catalyst does not undergo any change in the weight or any change in the composition. That is first the characteristic property of the catalysis. Second is, a very small amount of the catalyst can bring about a large amount of the chemical reaction. So catalysts are used to alter the rate of a chemical reaction. We do not use large amount of the catalyst, a small amount of the catalyst. So to give an example, 1 gram of platinum is sufficient to increase the rate of decomposition of 10 to the power 8 liters of hydrogen peroxide. To increase hydrogen peroxide decompose into hydrogen oxygen. To increase this reaction, 1 gram of platinum can bring about the decomposition of 10 to the power 8 liters of hydrogen peroxide. That is a small amount. A small amount of the catalyst can bring about a large amount of the chemical reaction. We did not use large amount of the catalyst. A small amount of the catalyst can bring about a large amount of the chemical reaction. So third is, the catalyst does not affect the equilibrium of a reversible reaction. Friends, I know what is a chemical equilibrium. So what is a chemical equilibrium means? The stage at which the rate of the forward reaction becomes equal to the rate of the backward reaction is equilibrium. A very reversible reaction has got a constant value of equilibrium. But this catalyst does not affect the equilibrium of any reversible reaction. Only by using a catalyst, the reaction attains the equilibrium quickly or rapidly, but does not affect the equilibrium of a reversible reaction. I'll show graphically. Look at this, the curve. So this is the reversible reaction is carried in a closed container. The rate of the reaction is plotted against time. So the rate of the forward reaction will keep on decreases. So rate of the backward reaction will keep on increases. After some time, the rate of the forward reaction becomes equal to rate of the backward reaction. We call it the equilibrium. When this equilibrium is attained, the molar concentration of all the reactants and parts will become constant. That all is studied in first PUC, the chemical equilibrium chapter. So this is for reversible reaction, this is the equilibrium. At this equilibrium, the rate of the forward reaction becomes equal to rate of the backward reaction. The catalyst does not affect the equilibrium. Then what is the advantage? The catalyst, by using a catalyst, the reaction attains the equilibrium quickly. So this is the equilibrium value. So therefore this rate of the forward reaction decreases. The rate of the backward reaction increases, so that you will get the same equilibrium value in lesser time. So the quickly attains the equilibrium value, but the catalyst does not affect the equilibrium of any reversible reaction. By addition of a catalyst, the reaction, instead of attaining the equilibrium at this particular time, so attains at a lesser time. So the same, because the catalyst influences both the forward reaction and the backward reaction to the same extent. It accelerates both the forward reaction and backward reaction to the same extent. Thereby, the reaction attains the equilibrium quickly, but does not affect the equilibrium of any reversible reaction. The catalyst does not affect the equilibrium of any reversible reaction. Only by using a catalyst, the reaction can attain the equilibrium quickly, but does not affect the equilibrium value of any reversible reaction. Now the catalyst, the fourth one is, the catalyst, they cannot start a chemical reaction. In most of the cases, generally the catalyst function is only to alter the rate of a chemical reaction. The catalyst cannot start, any chemical reaction. We can give few exemption. Suppose you take H2 plus Cl2. They will not, they combine. You put a small amount of moisture, they combine violently, form hydrogen chloride. Their moisture acts as a catalyst, where the moisture will start a chemical reaction. You take the example of photosynthesis. If you keep the plant in a dark room, the plant will die. Photosynthesis and light is a catalyst which initiate a reaction. We can give only few examples. In generally most of the cases, the catalyst cannot start any chemical reaction. Its function is only to accelerate or to decrease the rate of a chemical reaction. The catalyst cannot start any chemical reaction. So the catalytic, fifth one is, the catalytic action is specific but not universal. Look at the statement. The action of a catalyst is specific but not universal. What does it mean to say? That is mean to say, so for a particular catalyst is used for a particular reaction. There is no one catalyst or there is no universal catalyst which can be used for all the chemical reaction. Depending upon the nature of reactants, a particular catalyst can be used for a particular reaction that is specific, but it is not universal. A single catalyst cannot be used for all the chemical reaction. That's why the action of a catalyst is specific but not universal. So what are the product we require? Based on that, you have to choose the catalyst. I'll give some examples. Say I will take ethanol. Ethanol is passed over alumina. But ethane is formed. Same ethanol is passed over heated copper, acetaldehyde is formed. Look at this, action is specific. A particular catalyst, a particular product is formed. One catalyst, so the same product cannot be obtained. So the action of a catalyst is specific, but not universal. So only a particular catalyst is employed for a particular reaction. There is no one catalyst. There is no universal catalyst which can be used for all the chemical reactions. Then So the efficiency of a catalyst is maximum at a particular temperature known as optimum temperature. So every catalyst has got temperature at which its capacity is maximum. Take if the temperature may be 200 degree for some catalyst, or 500 degrees, 700 degree, 1000 degrees, optimum temperature. If the temperature is less, the catalyst may not work. If the temperature is high, they may lose its catalytic activity. Every catalyst has got a maximum efficiency at a particular temperature. It is called the optimum temperature. Sixth characteristic. Seventh is catalytic poisons. Some the substances, if they present in the reaction mixture, they are going to destroy the catalytic activity of a catalyst. They are called catalytic poisons. In the manufacture of the ammonia by Haber process, so sulfur dioxide oxygen is used. Suppose it contains carbon monoxide, they will completely destroy the iron catalyst. Here the carbon monoxide acts as a poison. Like this, any reaction. So mainly catalytic poisons are the carbon monoxide, so hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen cyanide, even the dust particle, arsenic oxide. So they are present even in minute quantity. They will completely destroy the catalytic activity. They are called the catalytic poisons. Then promoters. So traces of certain substances have the property of increasing the catalytic activity of a catalyst. So we can activate a catalyst by using some other substance we call as the promoter. In the manufacture ammonia by Haber process, iron is a catalyst. A small amount of molybdenum is used to increase the efficiency of iron catalyst. They are called as the promoters. But 8 characteristic property are given, out of which you can write any 3 in the examination. I have given all the characteristics. Again, I will repeat once again. You please follow me. General characteristics of a catalyst. First is the catalyst remains unchanged both in weight and chemical composition. Whatever the weight used, what is the composition, at the end they remain same. Only during the course of a chemical reaction, physical form of the catalyst may change. So crystal may be converted into powder form, but the catalyst remains unchanged both in weight and chemical composition. A small amount of the catalyst can bring about a large amount of the chemical reaction. We don't require large quantity of catalyst. A small quantity, even 1 gram of platinum is sufficient to increase the rate of decomposition of 10 power 8 liters of hydrogen peroxide. Look at the example. A small amount of the catalyst can bring about a large change in the chemical reaction. A catalyst does not alter the equilibrium of a reversible. I explained you. So this equilibrium value, you take any reversible reaction, so you carry it in a closed container. After some time, the rate of the forward reaction becomes equal to rate of a backward reaction. So this equilibrium, so this is the time required to attain the equilibrium. When a catalyst is added, the reaction attains the equilibrium more quickly at lesser time, because the catalyst influences both the forward reaction and the backward reaction to the same extent. Thereby, the reaction attains the equilibrium quickly or rapidly, but the catalyst does not affect the equilibrium of any reversible reaction. Then the catalyst does not start a chemical reaction. I told you is a general the statement. In most of the cases, the catalyst functions only to alter the rate of a chemical reaction. The catalyst cannot start any chemical reaction. And the action of a catalyst is specific but not universal. There is no one catalyst which can be used for all the chemical reaction. So different catalysts are employed for the different reaction. That's why the action of a catalyst is specific but not universal. And every catalyst has got a maximum efficiency at a particular temperature, and that is known as optimum temperature. And there are some substances we call the catalytic poisons. They will completely destroy the catalytic activity. They are called the catalytic poisons. Some substances, they will activate the efficiency of a catalyst. They are called the catalytic promoters. I discussed various types of catalytic reactions and the important characteristics of the catalysis. Another will be with this, I want to go for theory of catalysis. Such that the two theories have been proposed to explain the mechanism of catalysis. One is called the intermediate compound formation theory and adsorption theory. One for homogeneous catalysis and another for heterogeneous catalysis. So before going to this, the mechanism, I will tell you a brief concept about the energy of activation. I hope this all are studied in detail in chemical kinetics chapter. That chapter has already been completed to you. Energy of activation. Anyway, I will repeat briefly about the energy of activation, so that I come back to the mechanism. So with this graph, I will explain the concept of the energy of activation. So this curve, you are very familiar with this curve. So this is the energy barrier. Look at, this is the reactants. This is the products. In between there is a big energy barrier. The reactants has to cross the energy barrier. Then only they can be converted into products. So as per the collision theory, the reaction takes place by collision between the reactant molecules. So that means the simple collision will not cause the chemical reaction. So before collision, the molecule must possess a minimum amount of energy, and that minimum amount of energy, so possessed by the reactant molecules to cause a chemical reaction, is called the threshold energy. What is the value of threshold energy in the gap? So this is the energy from this point. So this one, this is the threshold energy from this point to this point is the threshold energy. The minimum energy possessed by the chemical reaction to cause a chemical reaction is called the threshold energy. But how much energy you have to supply, because we can't waste the energy in industry. How much energy you have to supply, because the reactant molecules has got some energy based on the value of internal energy. Every reactant molecules has got some energy. Then what you have is how much energy means. I will take this. This is the energy possessed by the reactant molecules. What is the minimum excess of energy? Above the average energy of the reactants, the reactant molecules must acquire to cause effective collision is called the energy of activation. But this is from this point to this point we call the threshold energy. But this much of energy we cannot supply, and we don't want to waste the fuel, because the reactants has got some energy. So above this energy you have to apply energy to cross this energy barrier. That's why the energy of activation is defined as, so minimum excess of energy above the normal energy that the reactant molecules must acquire to cause effective collision to cross the energy barrier is called the energy of activation. That all we discussed in detail in the chemical kinetics chapter. So threshold energy of activation from this point to this point is the threshold energy. So this much of energy has to be supplied to cause a chemical reaction with effective collision. But how much energy I have to supply? I should not supply from this energy to this, and this much of energy should not be supplied. One, because under normal condition the reactant molecules has got some energy. So that's why above this the normal energy, how much energy you have to supply to cause effective collision, so that they can cause the effective collision, they can cause the energy barrier, and this is called the energy of activation. In any, with this, the basic background, I'll come back to the catalysis chapter. I told you, so the catalysis, two types of catalysis, mainly homogeneous catalysis, heterogeneous catalysis. Homogeneous catalysis takes place by intermediate compound formation. Heterogeneous catalysis takes place by adsorption or chemisorption. So if you use in the catalytic reaction, the path of the reaction changes. The path of the reaction changes either by intermediate compound formations or by the adsorption. So imagine this is the original path of the reaction. This is the path of the reaction. The reactant has to acquire so much of energy to cross the energy barrier to gets converted into products. But when a catalyst is added, the reaction goes to a new path. New path, either by intermediate compound formation, adsorption, it changes the path of the reaction. This is new path. After adding this is a catalyzed reaction has got a new path which lowers the energy of activation. So for uncatalyzed reaction, this is the energy of activation. For catalyzed reaction, this is the energy of activation. That's why we use a catalyst. We can save the fuel. At lesser energy, we can carry out, can increase the rate of a chemical reaction. Means addition of a catalyst. When a catalyst is added, it changes the path of the reaction, which lowers the energy of activation. So these reactant molecules can easily shift over to this new lower energy barrier and gets converted into products, and thereby rate of a chemical reactions will be increases. Look at the concept. So this all you have studied in the kinetics chapter. My point is here. So before going to the mechanism of catalysis, you must know when a catalyst is added, it changes the path of the reaction. It changes the path of the reaction. Then automatically the reactants will come to the new path. So this is the original path. So this is the path of the uncatalyzed reaction. So this is the path of the catalyzed reaction. So this energy of activation will be so lowered. With less energy of activation, the molecules can get activated to cross the energy barrier, and thereby the rate of a chemical reaction will be increases. For this, I can give a very simple example. Say you go to the Kashmir Valley. Imagine. So there is a group of village here. Imagine there is a group of village here. You have to travel from this village to this village. This is a big hill. This I call as a energy barrier. So you thought that to come to this village, this is your path. So the path you have to cross this energy barrier, you have to climb the hill and then come down. Let's say you are going somewhere here. You can notice that there is a tunnel is there in the hill. Then what do? You shifted to this tunnel, you pass through the tunnel and reach your destination. Like this. When a catalyst is added, it changes the path of the reaction, which lowers the energy of activation. All the reactant molecules will shift to the new lower energy barrier, and easily gets rate of reaction increases and gets converted into products, and thereby rate of a chemical reaction increases. So this is the concept of energy of activation on the addition of a catalyst. When a catalyst is added to the reaction mixture, you have to say the path of the reaction changes, and this path has got the lower energy of activation. This uncatalyzed reaction has got higher energy of activation. So catalyzed reaction has got a lower energy of activation. So the reactants will go to the newer path with a lower energy of activation. So they acquire lesser energy of activation, gets activated, decomposes into products, and thereby rate of a chemical reaction will be increases. So this I will apply for the mechanism. We'll go back to the mechanism. Look at this. First I will explain the mechanism of homogeneous catalysis. Mechanism of homogeneous catalysis by intermediate compound formation theory. So as per this, the theory, intermediate compound formation, they look at a general example. Say A plus B are the reactants. CT I have taken as a catalyst. Say they are in the homogeneous, they are in the gaseous form. It's a homogeneous catalysis. So A plus B combined to form the product AB, and again the catalyst is regenerated. Catalyst can be used, remains unchanged both in weight and chemical composition. If you want to give the mechanism, what happens here now? If you take for the intermediate compound formation theory mechanism, one of the reactant first reacts with the catalyst to form the unstable intermediate compound. But A and B are the two reactants. Say A reacts with the catalyst to form the unstable intermediate compound. Path of the reaction changes, which lowers the energy of activation. So immediately this unstable compound, ACT, reacts with the other reactant, B is the other reactant. So they combine, they form the product AB, and the catalyst is regenerated. That's why the catalyst remains unchanged both in weight and chemical composition. It can be catalyst can be reused again and again. A small amount of the catalyst can bring about a large amount of the chemical reaction. That is as per the intermediate compound formation theory. But one of the reactant of the reaction combines with the catalyst to form the unstable intermediate compound. So this unstable intermediate compound, the path of the reaction changes, lowers the energy of activation. And this unstable compound then reacts the other reactant, B is the other reactant, to form the product AB, and the catalyst is regenerated. I'll give some specific examples. In the preparation of diethyl ether from ethanol, so I have taken ethanol, I have taken 2 molecules of ethanol, sulfuric acid is a catalyst, diethyl ether or ethoxyethane is formed. How does the mechanism takes place? One molecule of one of the reactants, say 1 molecule of ethanol reacts with sulfuric acid. Now ethyl hydrogen sulfate is formed, is an unstable intermediate compound. So this unstable intermediate compound, ethyl hydrogen sulfate, reacts with another ethanol molecule to get the product ethanol, to get the product diethyl ether, and again this catalyst sulfuric acid is regenerated. Look at the example. So I have taken the 2 molecules of ethanol and the catalyst. One of the reactant combines the catalyst to form the unstable intermediate compound. So this unstable intermediate compound reacts with the other reactant to get the product diethyl ether, and the catalyst is regenerated. Look at the other example. Manufacture sulfuric acid by the chamber process. There the sulfur dioxide, oxygen nitric oxide catalyst, sulfur trioxide is the product and nitric oxide regenerated. If you taken the mechanism, look at this. One of the reactant have taken oxygen, one of the reactant combines with the catalyst nitric oxide to form the unstable intermediate compound. So this unstable intermediate compound, as I told you, lowers the energy of activation, gets activated and reacts with another reactant. So this unstable intermediate compound, other reactant SO2 will get the product SO3 and again the catalyst is regenerated. So this is a second example for the homogeneous catalysis. Then we have one more example, third example. So the preparation of the toluene from Friedel-Crafts reaction. In the Friedel-Crafts reaction, the benzene reacts with alkyl halide to form alkyl benzene. So you take benzene reacts with methyl chloride. As you know, in the Friedel-Crafts reaction, anhydrous aluminum chloride is used as a catalyst. So this can be explained with the intermediate compound formation theory. In this, so benzene and methyl chloride are the two reactants. First, the methyl chloride, one of the reactant, reacts with the catalyst to form the unstable intermediate compound CH3 plus AlCl4, AlCl3 plus Cl, AlCl4 minus unstable intermediate compound. So changes the path of the reaction. The energy of activation has been lowered. So this unstable compound then reacts with the benzene to get the product. The toluene is formed and again the catalyst is regenerated. So these are the various examples for the homogeneous catalysis. Friends, so I discussed the homogeneous catalysis. I am going to stop at this stage. Next period I will take up the mechanism of heterogeneous catalysis in my next session.